Welcome, everybody, to the Patty G Show. I am your host, Patty G. We are here for Season 3, Episode 3 with Sebastian Alvarez from Alvarez Construction. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so very much, Sebastian, for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
I thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it is truly our pleasure to have you on. I'm looking forward to learning more about your business, highlighting some of the amazing things you do, and also another interesting fact I learned about you just before the show we're going to get into a little bit. So it was from you, so it should be fine.
I don't know how much research you're doing over there.
All of it. There's a whole team behind these walls.
Good. That's the way it should be.
But for those that are listening that may not be aware, what is Alvarez Construction? What do you do?
So what do we do? So Alvarez Construction, we're a championship team building communities for families here in Baton Rouge and the North Shore and in central Louisiana.
Okay.
So we actually not only build homes, but we feel that we're really building communities for people to live in.
Gotcha. So y'all build one-off homes like as remodels, or is it only whole communities?
Whole communities. So right now we're building in 10 active subdivisions, and we have about, counted today with my brother, 13 active communities being developed for us.
Gotcha. How do you get into that? I mean, that's when you think about construction, it's like, one building. How do you get into something that scale?
Just that simple, the way you just said it, a one-off. So we're been in business for 30 years. So my father, he deceased in 2013, passed away, but we helped him build the construction business. And we started one little small home in Shenandoah. I was still a little kid. I was 6-7 years old. And he built one house and saw that it was good. And then it was like, well, what if we build 2? And that was good. What if we build 3? And then last year we built 245.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you go from 1 to 2 to 3, it's economies are easy to work with. When you go from 10 to 100, I mean, how do you plan? How do you get past that hump of really just exploding?
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a couple humps within the construction industry. I mean, getting from 1 to 2 is a big hump, but I really think that the barrier there is between the 50 to 100. And then once you get to over 50 homes a year, then you are playing in a different space where, cost, efficiency, marketability, and providing a high quality product all becomes part of the equation.
Right.
And then the next big break would be 500 homes. And then again, you're playing in a different space. With other builders. Yeah.
I mean, you're playing a whole different ball game when you go to say, hey, let's develop multiple communities at one time.
Yeah.
Because then you also have to worry about how do we make these homes unique for each family that lives here. Because I mean, in real estate and in construction, you're not just building this building that's going to be occupied. You're building a home.
Yeah. So what we really focus on too is a lot of construction companies can paint a room and they can get nice appliances and they can build nice floors. But what we're really focused on and what sets us apart is that customer experience. I think that's the big next step that I think everyone is looking for in their business is how do I interact with the client? How does the client interact with me? And how do we make that easy for everyone? Despite, now COVID, we have that. So that's a whole other space that we need to analyze and think about. But it's not just providing a quality home, because I feel that a lot of people can do that. It's how do you do a quality home and make the experience something that's enjoyable, memorable, and happy, right?
100%. Yeah. I was having this conversation the other day with a colleague of mine. When you look at where technology is and where technology is going and where products are getting, a house is a house is a house.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what everybody is in, the type of business everyone's in, regardless of your occupation, you're in customer service.
Absolutely.
You're in customer service that whatever you do, the end result and how you interact with that customer from day one is really your business. You're not in a business of building a home. You're in a business of helping a family live their life.
Yeah, and you really have to analyze that customer experience. It's just one example that I was mentioning the other day to someone was, now you're in a grocery line and there's 2 people ahead of you and you're kind of mad. Like, who's running this? Like, why am I waiting in line? Like, what's the problem here? Like, I'm just trying to check out. Yeah. And so now we're in a society where People want to be in the comfort of their own home, see what they're buying, see what they're purchasing, but now they're analyzing the experience. So that's the huge component.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, I mean, anything from somebody moving out of their existing home to go into their new home. If it's not a enjoyable experience from the whole beginning to the end,
every single component of it.
And it goes back to writing reviews.
Yeah.
People, the second you mess up, the second you do something bad, people are going to social media. They're going to Google, whatever it is, to just trash you.
So we actually try to buffer as much as that in our business. So we actually have a 4-point survey system throughout the whole construction process that allows us to see how that customer is responding, and so we can make adjustments immediately. So you buy with us, and then you have a mid-construction survey that sets it off, and then you have a move-in survey, mid-year survey, and an end-year survey. So we're analyzing all those ticks, trying to make sure that the customer is taken care of before that review, right? Because there's
before the end game,
because it's so easy now to grab your phone and make a review. You go into a restaurant and the toilet's dirty. I mean, 2 seconds later on your phone, you're giving a bad review. Yeah. So it's important to engage the clients and make sure you're doing the right thing the entire time.
100%. Yeah. It's just like when you can look at a restaurant or service industry, having the manager walk around table to table. Hey, how's your food? Is it cooked to your satisfaction? Is it cooked to your liking? Is there anything we can do better? Seeing that in the construction world, hey, are you happy with how the plans were delivered today?
Yeah.
Are you happy with the time of our meeting today? It's just taking each step as it comes and then better and improving yourself for the next step.
Yeah. So we do a couple important things too, is that, we tell everybody, have we met your commitments? So whenever you're buying a house from Alvarez Construction, throughout the process, you're hearing from the sales manager, you're hearing from the project manager, you're getting short 15-minute clips throughout the construction of your process. Hey, look, we're just about to start sheetrock this week. We have inspections coming up. The house is clean. Let me know if we have not met your commitments, and we shoot that email. I mean, that's part of that customer experience. It's hugely important. It makes people feel like they're, paid attention to.
Yeah, it makes them feel like a customer. Yeah. It makes them feel like a client instead of a number. Yeah. Because when you look at it, you're doing, like you said, 200 something homes a year. Yeah. You have to find a way, an effective and an efficient way to be that person for 200 people. Yep. And it's how do we go from Joe to Susie to Alice to, Barry? How do we get through all these people the same way? Mm-hmm. And then more importantly, how do we tell people we do this?
Right. That's it.
How do we communicate? And here we are.
Here we are. We had that conversation before we started. I mean, all this is so important.
Yeah. It's effectively communicating, hey, by the way, we do send a follow-up email. Right. We do sit down with you and go over all these plans.
Right.
And social media is a so important avenue to take when you're trying to expose that. When you're trying to tell people, hey, we're not just your normal construction company. Right. We're somebody that's going to sit down with you. We're going to take you a step of the way. Yeah. You're not a house to us. You're a person.
Right. No, it's true. And the flip side of reviews, and I always joke in the office, like, sometimes things might go wrong and we might get a bad review. The thing is there's truth behind everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big advocate of, words have meaning. So no matter who says what, there's words coming out of someone's mouth. There's some sort of meaning somewhere in there that something needs to be corrected, something needs to be taken care of. So you can look at all the great reviews and ignore the bad reviews. That's a huge mistake.
Absolutely.
Focus on what's going wrong and fix it and do it quickly.
Yeah. Do you have a good fail recovery plan in place?
Right.
Can you take that bad experience, flip it, and have the person come back and leave another review underneath theirs and say, okay, so first off, the house collapsed when I walked in, but here's what they did to fix it.
Yeah, we fixed the collapsed house. No, that's not true.
But they were mean, they were rude to me today, but then they called me and said, look, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
And they explained it, and then it was able to work through it. You're able to fix that in real time. And I mean, Google, Yelp, whatever review system you're on, it is so important that you're treating those bads equal with the goods. The goods, great. Thank you so much for leaving us that review. Yeah. Why'd you leave it?
Right.
That's asking someone why they left a review, good or bad, is a metric every company should have.
Right. Yeah, we respond to just about every survey. You know, where we have actually a system in place. If a survey comes in, you know, where we don't like it and it's above an average review or an average plus a couple points, I mean, we're asking the client, hey, how can we help? You know, right. And if you have any business owners out there that are doing reviews, I suggest that put the contact me, because some people will say a review and then you don't give them the option of them telling you that they actually want to be contacted. So we have in all our surveys that contact me, which means this person wants to talk to you. And that's the problem with some businesses. You can survey and you can do reviews, but then if you're not communicating to them that you actually want to talk to a real person to discuss some of just that has changed some of our that relationship with our clients drastically, allowing them the mechanism to tell us in a formal way, hey, I want someone to call me.
Yeah, it's that follow-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Having that follow-up, it's not just I filled a form and moved on from there.
Right.
So how did you get here? You know, your dad started this so long ago.
Yeah.
What were the past? What kind of a kid were you, man?
Man, I was a curious kid. So, you know, how do I get here? First, you know, my family, you know, my brother, his wife, my wife, my sister, my mom, my sister's husband. Like, we're just a family unit. We have a huge team in place. We've grown the team. So I didn't do this by myself completely. So there's a huge team in place. So, but going back to, you know, what I did, I was just a curious kid. Like, I was always just reading people, monitoring things, like just quiet. You know, my dad would always laugh that on the way home from school or work, I would see someone's like vacuum cleaner out in the street, and I would like get the vacuum cleaner and I would like bring it home and take it all apart, put it all back together. And then, you know, those are some memories of what kind of kid I was. I was maybe a little rambunctious and I was just always curious. I was the kid that was out past the street lights. My mom was out there honking the horn, trying to get me back inside and, ride my bike and doing all that stuff. So, you know, I kind of came from that type of upbringing, you know, parents letting you out and run around and coming back and, you know, spending time with the family. And then, went to Most Blessed Sacrament, went to Bishop Sullivan High School, now St. Michael's. And then, you know, by that time in high school, so my dad started the construction company in 1991. We were actually immigrants from Colombia, South America. We actually started an ice cream shop called Umbrellas whenever we came from Colombia, it was during the 80s, so it was a big recession.
Okay.
And so there was intentions for my dad to start building then, but it was dead. Like, there was nothing.
So why an ice cream shop?
Because my dad had an accounting degree, and my dad knew he had to sell something.
Right.
And so he's like researching Baton Rouge. My mom happened to have a sister in Baton Rouge, Louisiana here, and LSU was booming at that time in student housing, and Gardere Lane had this big promise to be this LSU student housing, you know, mecca. And so we had an ice cream shop there off of Gardere. Struggled. You know, I remember seeing my dad struggling it, you know, every night, working till 11, you know, trying to meditate and get his mind right and trying to get through the struggles of owning an ice cream shop in Baton Rouge. And finally got some success there, and we moved to Sherwood Forest, the Umbrellas ice cream shop. And 7 years later, on a Thanksgiving evening, he closed it up. He couldn't make it, but it was a blessing in disguise. It's one of those things that we do every day. We look around and, you know, all had a reason. He made all his construction contacts through selling.
Yeah.
Selling ice cream. Okay, great. David Richardson, big builder, his dad, Bob Richardson, was one of my dad's regulars. All these businesses have, who knows that his dad loved ice cream and po' boys and stuff like that. And so dad met title attorneys, insurance agents, builders, suppliers, all through the ice cream shop, kept tabs. And so whenever he closed his shop, he called on Bob Richardson, and Bob Richardson said, "Hey, look, Mr. Alvarez, I'm gonna help you. You need to do this. Here's a list of subcontractors. This is where you need to buy your materials. This is where you need to buy a lot." And we kind of started there, you know. Wow. So I got to see all of that. Yeah. You know, so and then after high school, during high school, Dad we were just doing maybe like 4 or 5 homes a year. And at that time, like my dad, my sister, my mom, and I were still helping like clean the houses that we were selling. Like I was picking up trash and moving dirt, piles of trash from one side of the construction site to the other. And, my brother was in like superintendent, or he was more in operations at the beginning. And my sister always managed the accounting side of things. And so one time my dad was like doing the landscapes for the houses, and Dad was like, "Hey, look, you have $1,000. I'm gonna give you $1,000." Like, what do you mean, Dad? He's like, "Well, look, we're gonna go buy plants at this nursery. I'm give you $1,000. With those $1,000, you're gonna buy some plants." I said, "Okay, cool." And then you're gonna use those $1,000 to help find your friends at Bishop. It was like 4 or 5 friends of mine. You're gonna get the plants. You're gonna bring them to one of the houses that we're gonna sell. You're gonna plant the plants, and whatever's left over, you get to keep. I was like, "Okay, that's a cool deal." And so I started landscaping.
Buys 1 rose bush.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So like, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. Eventually, it led to a career in landscape architecture, but I didn't know what I was doing. But I started figuring out that like, that plant doesn't look right there. So maybe we need to move it here. There's a window here. So we started doing that, and then one house and then the next house, and I was like, okay, cool. This is my budget that Dad's giving me to buy plants. So maybe I'll buy 3 less plants on the next one, but I'm going to make it look really good. Maybe I don't need 3 guys. I can do it with 2, and I'll work a little bit harder. And so it all started kind of coming together. And then towards the end of my high school career, I didn't really even know about landscape architecture. And then it was Max Conrad's class, and my landscape buddies are watching. They're laughing over there about Max Conrad.
I took
Introduction
Max
to
Conrad.
Landscape Architecture. I think every LSU student finds out the easiest class on campus is Max's class.
My wife and I took that through LSU. We took it together, and it was an interesting class.
Yeah,
that end of the year project was actually pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie. As an accountant, I kind of enjoyed that end of the year project.
So Max is a fantastic guy. And so anyway, I was like, all right, well, there's a career in this. I'm actually planting plants for my family's business. There's a career in it, so I'm gonna run with that. And then I did the 5-year program at LSU. And then when I got out of LSU, I was just, my family, we were just getting into trying to get out of that custom market. And that was 2005. And in 2007, 2006, we bought our first 72 lots, Hidden Ridge off of Stumberg Lane.
Wow.
So that was like the big deal where I told you that 70 lots kind of puts you in a whole different ball game. 50 lots.
So what is it about that number that puts you in a different ball game?
Because you have to build on efficiency. Like you have to have a set amount of floor plans. You have to be able to market this to the public. You have to make a quality product that people like, affordable product. You have to measure your costs. Then you're talking about scheduling. Then you're talking about resources of how many framing carpenters am I going to need? So how many roofing companies am I going to need? What is the cost? Like, where do I get the price break? Do I get the price break at 2 houses a year or 50 houses a year? So it kind of gets into a different space. So then once we started that, then we started looking into land development. And so like my degree in landscape architecture was really nice because at LSU, there is a big emphasis on land planning. And so that's where I ate it all up. Land planning and designing subdivisions. So I was lucky enough that the moment that I graduated LSU, I had a good, 2 years of learning the construction business a little bit better, more in detail. And then we started developing property. And then I was realizing that, hey, it's neat because now I get to design and work with engineers and also have landscape architects around me to design the subdivision. So it gives me a unique perspective now going forward. Even though right now, Alvarez, we're not developing communities, there's other developers doing that, but it helps me shape the relationship between the developers and kind of show them the vision for what we want for the company.
Yeah. That's incredible.
In a nutshell, that's kind of, guess, where I'm
how
at.
you got here.
Yeah, right.
So do you still continue the landscape business today?
Yeah. So that little landscape business has continued over the years. It stopped for a little while I was at LSU because I was concentrating on my studies. I had
Smart man.
Yeah.
You
had to. Yeah, like I couldn't do it, especially landscape architecture. Everybody that worked and tried to do that program, like, hats off. I mean, it was a bear because you never slept.
Right.
And so I was able to concentrate. And then as soon as I got out, I was able to formulate a team and really do the landscape stuff, and been able to scale that through the landscape, concrete operations, grading, and also stormwater prevention. Helping keep the subdivisions clean from being muddy and all that stuff. So we have a probably in the landscape probably about 45 people that work for Flora. Flora is the landscape company.
Okay,
yeah.
Flora, got it.
Yeah.
So how is it? I mean, you're not really doing a juggling act because they kind of go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah.
Because you've got a sub that is going to do the landscaping work.
Yeah.
But how do you go, from having your own business that's being operated successfully to now kind of getting back into the family business while maintaining that original business you started?
Understanding what is more important. Mm-hmm. So if you are trying to juggle two businesses, I mean, you have to realize which one is the more important. And I think that you have to understand where your responsibility lies, right? So for me, even though I love the landscape part of things and it's a successful business, I mean, I have to focus on the Alvarez Construction side of things the majority of the time. And we talked about the bus test today.
I was just about to go into the bus test.
I'll let you lead that segue if you want.
So within that, you've got balancing your landscaping company, you've got Alvarez company, but at the same time, they both have to be able to run without you there. What type of steps or protocols or procedures do you put in place? Some would call them, I heard somebody saying about this afternoon, somebody told me there's a bus test or something.
That's me, a bus
What's
test.
A bus test?
Yeah, a bus test is what do you do if you get hit by a bus?
Well, hopefully you've lived.
Yeah, right. No, but I mean, in seriously, in terms of running a business, I mean, the problem that you find with business owners that find themselves overwhelmed and they start losing that love that they have for their business is because everything rolls uphill. Like, you really think, as a business owner, a lot of people think that the SHIT rolls downhill, but it's actually opposite.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, you're the leader. You're the head of the company. You're the head of everything that goes wrong.
Yeah. So look, my brother just commented. So that's pretty neat. He's watching me. So that's neat. That makes me feel good. But anyway, you got the bus test. You have to be able to operate. You have a big responsibility to your family. I have my wife and my kid and my family, and the people running the business. I mean, if something happens to me, we did a quick study with Moises, my guy that manages all my field operations for the landscape company. And we said, how many mouths do we feed? Like, have you ever thought about that question?
That's a
Like, you got you're producing, you got this show, you got people filming us right now. So that's the question is, you have a huge responsibility to feed. So we did that study. It was close to 400 people that my landscape company feeds. That's just food.
Because you've got their families.
You got their families.
Like we may have like Flashbang Productions here today, but they also have their families back at home that they have to feed.
Exactly. So, and it's not just the husband, the mother, and the kid, but the mother has a sister, which is the sister-in-law, so she needs help. So, I mean, it starts bleeding into a whole bunch of things.
And you have no idea their situation.
You don't know.
You don't know what's going on in their life. Especially when you have 45 employees, it's challenging to know every single detail about every one of their lives.
Yeah. So going back to the bus test, I mean, that's just important. I mean, what you create, you should be able to sustain it without you because it's a huge responsibility. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So we always joke around as the bus test. Hey, you're coming up with a new protocol or procedure or process. Okay, great. So how are you going to map that out? How are you going to put it on paper? And whenever you take a 2 weeks vacation, who's going to do that for you?
Yeah.
Because you need to start training them to do it.
Right.
So that's kind of part of, and that allows you to free up some of your time to be able to grow your business in other aspects.
It frees up not only your time, but your mental energy.
Yeah.
I think the conversation that we kind of don't have enough is the mental energy it takes, even on a task you're not doing.
Trust me.
While I'm sitting here having a conversation with you, recording this podcast, my mental energy is also absorbed in 100 different other things, as yours is, I'm certain. You know, you've got kids at the house, your business, everything.
That's a crazy fact. I mean, I think it's like almost like 40% of your energy, of your human body energy, is spent like through thinking, your brain. Yeah. You know, so it does exhaust it. So you have to be able to scale. I mean, that's the big word, right? Is to scale. And people think it's a real easy thing to do. It's like it's moving the sail of a big ship, and it just takes a long time to do that and get everybody else's buy-in.
Yeah, you have to have people that believe, in the system. They believe in the mission behind the company to want to put forth the effort to, if you do get hit by a bus, to take those ropes and go off and do what you need to do. So my follow-up question to that is, have you tested it?
Have I tested the bus?
Have you decided, hey, 1 week, honey, we're going to go on vacation for a week. I'm going to turn my phone off.
No.
And we're going to have no communications, and we're going to see what happens.
But I tell you, so, and I'll give you an honest answer for this. We, in 2019, of October 2019, my brother, sister, and I, we had like the awakening, right? We're going to really grow the team correctly. We're going to have the correct people in the correct positions doing the correct things, and everything's going to be fine. And we're going to start freeing up our time to do our hobbies or do whatever. And can I tell you, for me personally, like doing that scaling, I could now go ride my bike because I love to ride my bike. I could do that more often than I can now.
Right.
But now it's burned a really big fire in me as a person, loving my business so much more, because I see the happiness of everybody else around me. So it's like, man, scaling also brings a little bit of enjoyment, not only to me, but all the others around me, knowing, hey, you can take care of this. And it gives other people to put their all in, that whatever it takes mentality to get some of those things done and prove themselves that they're capable people. And that helps them in their role and their job position. So it's important. It gives purpose to people.
100%. I've seen some images recently on like LinkedIn or something. They're talking about what's the difference between a boss and a leader, and they have this imagery.
One's pushing
one's sitting on this behind this desk with these three people in front of him pulling this rope. It's like, this is a boss.
Yeah.
A leader is somebody who's off of that in the front of everybody, pulling the desk behind them with everybody else.
I've seen that many times.
Having that mentality as a business owner is huge, because when you're down in the dirty and you're down doing everything with your employees, they have a better appreciation of who you are, and they have a better fulfillment in that the business they're working for is working right alongside them.
Well, and the thing is too, is I've hired the person that has worked for the boss on the opposite side of that picture.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, hey, I'm trying to get this things done, but my boss has been like duck hunting for like the past 4 weeks, or like he's no longer in his business. He no longer wants to grow it. So even you have to be careful with the employee side of things, because then they're like, well, if my boss is not interested, then maybe I need to find a boss that is interested. So it's a big balance. I mean, you have to think about all those things.
It goes back to knowing your team as best you can.
Yeah.
Knowing what motivates them, what drives them. Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
Absolutely.
He, before COVID, would have like 15-minute interview sessions with his employees and try to meet with them once a year.
Yeah.
Every employee.
Yeah.
He would try to have a sit down of 15 minutes with whether it be the janitor or the CFO and say, hey,
makes sense.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, I'm big with that. I do check-ins. A lot of people think of job reviews or, sitting in an office and talking about the job position every year. And like for me personally, the people that report, like I'm constantly checking in. How are you? How are you doing? Hey, how's your wife? How's your kids? That's important because, hey, look, we're all in this like thing called life together. And it's not only like work and life, but just how are you doing? And it's you can't describe that feeling as an employer to make your employees happy just by asking, hey, how are you doing today?
Exactly.
Hey, I see you're a little bit down today. What's going on? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. And it's having that follow-up question of your initial conversation being, hey, how are you doing? How's things going? It's okay. What can I do to help?
Right. No,
what can I do to make this
better?
Well,
that's big too. So, we have, above the line principles at our office. And that's one of the big things too is, ask the question. It's one of our principles. It's like, ask the question, like, what other coaching do I need? What other training do I need? So we're always asking, how's the employee doing? And we go back to our above the line principles to kind of help shape how we interact with not only our clients, but also our clients too.
Yeah, that's huge. And I want to kind of move into, you talked a little bit about bike riding and how you enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
But there's also another charity aspect of Alvarez that I want to get into.
Absolutely.
We'll start with the bike riding first.
Absolutely.
You mentioned before the show there was some fundraiser that you do.
So it's called the No Such Thing as Impossible Bike Ride. So my dad, before he passed away, he wrote a book called No Such Thing as Impossible.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, excuse me, like our motto at our office and in our family, like no such thing as impossible, because there's no such thing as impossible. I mean, it's just,
there is no try, only do.
Right. So, I'm a board member for McMain's Children's Developmental Center. So that's a little center that is true to my heart. And so every year we have a bike ride to raise funds for kids that need a bike because they have cerebral palsy or they have some physical disability. So what that does is some kids don't have the ability to pedal a bike with their legs. So we actually adapt a bike that they can pedal with their hands. Or if they have a spinal issue where they have to sit up straight, we can adjust them. And some kids might not have hands, so we can figure out, how to make a bike. It's especially adaptive bike for. So we have over 175 of those bikes in the community. So that bike ride, we raise about $30,000 a year that goes to McMain's for a special program called Wheels to Succeed.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and
I love it.
It's amazing to see something you're so passionate about. You love riding bikes.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see a way to give back in the community with what you love.
Well, I mean, talking about bikes, do you remember the color of your first bike?
Color of my first bike was red.
Right. Perfect. So why can't other kids have that experience? Just because you have a physical disability, you can still have that experience. These parents are trying to figure out how to get their kids to the bathroom. Let's get them a bike. Yeah. I mean, they're dealing with things that are so much more difficult than riding a bike. They can't afford to buy a $4,000 adaptive bike. So, my personal mission is that, every kid should have the opportunity to ride a bike. So I'll stick with that.
Well, yeah. And it's like you said, the parents have so much more to worry about.
Yeah.
That what a kid loves to do. I mean, as kids, bike riding, it's just one of those things that we love doing as kids. And parents shouldn't have to have that as their sole focus when they have other concerns about their children.
Right. So we make that easy. So if you have a kid with adaptive needs, contact McMain's Children's Developmental Center. We'll get them on the list and we'll get them a bike for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there's also another avenue of y'all's. I'm not sure if it's charitable work within St. Jude.
Right. So I think that to kind of give some more historical background with our charity work, going back to I'm going back to my dad a lot, but I say it's our family. We believe that helping kids helps move humanity forward a lot. If you can help kids from a young age, it helps a lot of socioeconomic issues, bad mentorship that's around out there, physical disabilities, cancer. So that's a big one for us. Our family, the cancer word has come up a lot. So we feel that it's our responsibility to help raise money for St. Jude to help cure cancer. That's a big goal.
Right.
But I mean, I think that's kind of why that no such thing is impossible. We love the challenge of St. Jude because their mission is to cure cancer. Holy crap. Like, how do you do that?
That's a mission.
Yeah, it's a mission. So like now it's like almost 80% of the kids that go into St. Jude now cured. I mean, 80%. We all know medical percentages are like much more magnified. But,
yeah. And that's incredible to see, generally when people get involved in charity, it's because it's near and dear to their heart, and it's finding what is near and dear to your heart and then just going feet first in and doing whatever you can to make an impact because over time it does make an impact. People are worried about, I can't do this because it's, it's too small of a gesture, but every little gesture helps, regardless of the size, will reap exponential rewards.
So what we do for the St. Jude House is, again, I'm not going to credit just us, Alvarez Construction, that we do this. It's not like we're writing a check, right? I mean, we have trade partners that donate their time and their money to build these houses for literally at no cost.
Yeah.
And then what we do is St. Jude raffles those homes, and then the proceeds from the raffle goes to the hospital, which is now up to over $2 million a day it takes to run that hospital. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
That's crazy though. So y'all are actually going in there and building the home for St. Jude.
Yeah, so we coordinate everything. So if you were a sheetrock finisher, I would come and approach you and say, hey, look, we're building this house for St. Jude. Will you donate your labor? And I would go to the sheetrock supplier and say, hey, we donate the material, and then just coordinate that whole symphony along the whole route of construction, and we try to build a house.
Yeah, well, you don't try, you succeed.
Well, we succeed, yeah.
So how long y'all been doing this with them?
We are with St. Jude. Oh, man, I wish my brother and sister were here. I think we're on our 23rd year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've raised over $20 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just incredible alone.
It's only about 20 days.
I know, but
you see, it's a small thing.
It's a small thing. Yeah.
But it puts things into scale.
Right. So if you have 10 people like y'all doing that, then you're able to help. Well, further the program.
So St. Jude has there's one in Lafayette. I believe there's one in New Orleans, one in Baton Rouge, and there's all over the country. I mean, the St. Jude Dream Home is huge around the nation, and they've really found a lot of success in that. Yeah. Because St. Jude, and it's interesting. St. Jude is just recognizable all over the globe. And it's just, if you have anything that you want to donate to, and it makes you sleep good at night knowing that the dollars make sense, St. Jude is really a great charity.
Yeah, 100%. My sister-in-law and family, they've done a great deal with them, so they're super excited and super welcoming of all St. Jude things. Yeah. So thank you for everything you've done with them, man. It's huge.
Everybody else. Again, we just coordinate it, and we love to give.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you've done a lot, from being in a family business to running the family business while still running a other business that kind of goes along with it. I'm sure you've kind of gathered some lessons, throughout this time, being an entrepreneur, being a leader, being a business manager. What are 3 lessons that you've kind of gathered over these years?
Pay attention. I think that's a big lesson. Pay attention to how people react around you. I think that's a good compass of how you're performing. I think that's a good audit. Like, if the people around you aren't really happy, then your goals that you're trying to achieve aren't correct.
Right.
Maybe you need to reshuffle around.
Yeah. Everybody's in the same boat. Yeah. If some people aren't happy paddling, you need to figure out why.
Yeah. I think also is trying to inspire others for the whatever it takes type of mentality. And when I say that is, you really need to find people that are passionate in what you're trying to accomplish, that they're also passionate. Because if you have somebody that's not passionate about what they're doing towards your goal, it's bad for their life.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's really easy for a manager and owner to keep people that they see that they're not happy, but it's that hard conversation of, is like, how happy are you? And I mean, you have great talents as an individual and as a person on this planet. Let's talk about that.
And so you're the 3rd episode of 2021.
Okay.
All 3 episodes have talked about passion in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's so true. Yeah. Whether you're an entrepreneur trying to get something off the ground for the very first time, or you're like your dad, you had a business that failed, and now you have to rebuild and start something new. Yeah. You've got to find that passion. You got to find that thing that wakes you up in the morning and gets you going.
But I think that there's a flip side to that too, and maybe this is my 3rd thing. Yeah. Maybe it's not so much like, you have to have a passion, I guess, to do the things that you don't want to do.
Right.
I don't think everybody wakes up in the morning and say, God, I just want to like go do all this stuff all at once, right? I mean, it's just, there's a pleasure in doing the things that you don't want to do. But if you keep your eyes on the horizon and what the end game is, which is your family, your friends, and who you want to take care of, that's the passion, right? The passion is, what do you want to do with what do you want to do with what you do? You know, and who do you want to help? Yeah. All the other stuff is just an ends to the means, that's one thing. You have to have passion for what you want to do, but also be acceptant of accept the things that you don't like to do as trying to get to where you need to go.
Yeah, it's part of the process.
Yeah, so it's a welcome to your life.
Yeah.
Welcome to your life.
Exactly. I mean, that goes back to the family business dynamic that you grew up in, having a clean house after house after house. I'm sure as whatever age you were, that's probably not how you wanted to spend your time. You'd rather go pick up a vacuum, take it apart and put it back together, or go ride a bike. And it's understanding that all that is necessary to get to the end goal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, wow. I can't say it better. I mean, you said it better than me.
I wouldn't go that far, but maybe. Yeah. So with all this happening, with construction, you're building all these homes. You're building 200 homes, 300 homes, 500 homes, whatever the number
245 last year, and I'm build 400 homes this year. That's
400 homes this year.
Not me, the company.
Yeah,
the company together as a team.
Right, as a family.
Yeah. We're on the 400 choo-choo train. So if my staff's watching, we're gonna do it.
Got it. Hey, the year just started, man.
Yeah.
We're only 11 days in.
Yeah.
But within that, you've kind of been around the Baton Rouge area for the most part, right?
Oh, my whole life, yeah.
What has kept you here? I mean, what do you love about Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge has done so much for us as a company. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just we've been lucky enough to find opportunity here, and I think that's one of the things that we don't do. We don't like skip out on opportunity, right? So, of course, there's the culture and everything. I don't know anything different, right. But the economy here, the people here it's been so good to us. So I don't know how I can put that answer in one sentence, but why here? Because my dad felt like he could make it anywhere. And so I kind of feel the same way. And my family's here, and my wife's here, and my 3-year-old daughter's here. And so, this is it.
Right. I mean, it's the question I always kind of go back to in my head is how do we tell people in words and put forth, say, hey, this is how great Baton Rouge is, come see us, come stay here, because it's retention of college graduates or even people when they get to a roadblock within their career, they say, I'm going to move and start all over again.
Yeah, well, I got a little story about that. When I was in landscape architecture, I spent 5 years developing relationships with some of the most talented people and friends. And the day after graduation, boom, everybody left.
Yeah, that story is common.
Yeah.
That story is so common.
Yeah.
When I was at LSU and in all my entrepreneurship classes, and we went to Seattle for a trip, we got to tour and go to Amazon, and go check out all these really cool places.
Yeah.
And everybody says, "Oh, I want to move here." Well, and I'm like, "What? Why?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is I believe people think that opportunity is elsewhere, but sometimes it's not. I mean, it's where you're at and what you want to make and how you approach that mentality. Because if you keep on thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go to Austin and I'm going to make it there, or I'm going to go to Houston, or I'm going to go to New York, or I'm going to go to LA, you're going to get there. You may or may not make it, but then there's going to be another thing. Well, I'm going to go make it somewhere else. And at some point in time, you have to stop, hit the brakes, and say, what am I going to focus on? And I'm going to just go all in,
Exactly.
And that's it.
It's that short attention span has started to take over and started to impact careers.
Yeah.
That if it doesn't happen overnight, if it doesn't happen within the next week, the next month, I'm out of here and I'm going to the next place. It's that patience and how important patience is what sometimes people will miss.
Yeah.
They'll say, oh, it's so much easier to go to Austin, or so much easier to go to New York. I can go and make it overnight.
Right.
You know, boom, done, there, I made it. But when you get there and you don't, and you get there and it's so much harder than you thought it was going to be at this new place, because now you're having to find a new place to live. You're having to meet brand new people. You're having to go to brand new different events. You're having to go to brand new different functions. So much new is happening that you may also not give yourself enough time there to really make it, or really
you know
find
what that's
your
all
passion.
called? It's excuses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. You're making excuses
100%.
for yourself.
You're making an excuse for not achieving your greatness.
I was actually a hard sell for my dad whenever I graduated, because I thought it was the whole white picket fence thing. Like, I was going to study at LSU, and I was going to be working for, EDSA, big landscape architecture firm. I could go to China, I could go to Florida, I could go to Houston, I could go to California, and I was about to do that. And then it's so funny, in college, it's like, my dad gave me the offer I couldn't refuse, which was like a forerunner, right? I mean, it's a joke, but I think that my dad did allow me to understand, opportunity where it presents itself. And sometimes, people ignore that because they think that their passions is somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's like, hey, you have to go and do the grind.
Right. You have to work through the fact that you as the business owner will have to clean some toilets.
Oh yeah.
You have to work through the hard times to get the best of times. Yep. You don't just wake up all of a sudden one day and it's an overnight success. The best overnight success is 5 years in the making.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody's definition of success is just different.
100%.
Like, I mean, like, what is success, right? It's like, okay, is it the house, the car? No. What
is it?
I don't know. I mean, this is, for me, it's trying to find my potential, and like what, that is success for me, but it's defined different for other people. And I think that's the one that people need to define for themselves first, of what success means to them. And then they can start churning at what they want to do. But,
absolutely.
Success is bizarre for a lot of people.
And I think the reason being is because most of the time, people might have a dollar figure attached to success.
Yeah.
They might say, oh, I will see myself successful if I'm making X a year.
Right.
Or I'm making 10X a year. Whatever. It's a number in your head.
Yeah.
But my follow-up to them would always be, okay, so once you get that number, then what?
How much is enough?
Even if you get the maximum you're going to get, then what?
Yeah.
Then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Once it's like the story of the dog chasing the car.
Right.
It'll always chase the car, but it has no idea what to do with it once it's caught it.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, it's the success is a very tricky definition for others, but it's also a motivator, to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. I need X because that'll give me the life I want with my family and kids. I want to travel. Yeah. If I'm not married, it'll give me the life to travel. It'll give me the life to go and do these adventures, or it'll just give me the life to build a hobby, start a podcast. Yeah. You never know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the success and you're talking about money. I mean, that is a measurement. That is a part of the equation. But for some people, more important for others. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make a beautiful life for each other and for everyone else.
Yeah. We're trying to live up to our fullest potential and be the best that we can.
Yep. That's my definition of success, is achieving my full, the process of achieving my full potential, because I think that's the key, is the enjoying that process of, it's not you're never going to reach your full potential. It's almost like trying to do something like perfect, right? You're not going to get
it's
there.
Never going to be perfect.
It's the process of, right? Because we're in a process all the time, ever changing, nothing's the same. I mean, things change in an instant. It's that process of.
You have to love the process and the journey before you can even love the reward.
Right. Right.
If you're just going after this carrot or this treat, this reward, and you're miserable the entire time, when you get it, you're going to be so burnt out and so exhausted, you won't even be able to enjoy it. But it goes back to that passion.
Yeah.
Full circled in the conversation. Going back to that passion, what do you love to do, and what can you stick out doing it, for the time frame that it requires to achieve your goal? And that's what you want to be doing.
See, I don't even know why you have me on this podcast. I mean, like, you just do it all great yourself. Yeah.
Well, I need somebody to bring it out, right? We need other people to bring out the best within us.
There you go. Perfect.
So, starting to wrap up the show, we talked about you as a kid and what you love to do. You love to ride your bike. You're a curious kid, right? What is something that you did as a kid that you wish you could still do today if no one stopped you?
Oh man, just riding around in go-karts full throttle.
Yes.
Yeah, right? I mean,
go-karts.
It's like the friend in the neighborhood that always had the go-kart. Like, you just, everybody hated it, but you just had the go-kart, man.
So I grew up, I'm 4 out of 5 siblings, right? I have 2 older bros, older sister and a younger sister. So I'm like the baby boy.
Yeah.
And we got a go-kart for Christmas, and that thing.
So you were the family with it.
We were the family of 5 kids with the go-kart. Yeah. But the sad part was it was a 2-seater, and we were 3 boys. Yeah. So we had to learn sharing real early.
So you were like driving the go-kart, and you could like mess with the governor in the back and just wide open, remember?
What governor?
Yeah, right. Well, you just took that thing off. I think now the new go-kart is 4-wheelers, man. I swear I think I'm hitting kids with trying to avoid kids with 4-wheelers in subdivisions all over the place.
Technology's evolved, man.
Right, yeah.
Technology's evolved.
Yeah.
So what is something I can do to help you?
Oh man, I don't know. Just have me on here.
Beyond that, I keep on getting that answer. I need something more. I need you to go deeper with that.
No, just help me help other people understand that we're really building a company, a housing company, to build communities for others. So it's not just a house. It's a place to raise your family and doing it in an efficient and affordable way, and to understand that we're not only just, helping a family. We're not only helping my team members at Alvarez Construction, but we're also supporting this huge economy that we have called the United States of America. Right. So, I mean, it's a national thing. So it's just, we don't just build houses. We're just really trying to move forward in the correct way. So that would be my ask, is to, whenever you speak to someone, say, hey, I met with, the chief operating officer of Alvarez Construction. Man, they have a great organization over there. They're really trying to help, humanity, in a very cohesive way.
Absolutely. Well, I can definitely do that for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Where can people find you?
AlvarezConstruction.com. That is where we capture everything. I know we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Insta.
You're on the Insta?
On the Insta. We're not, we're trying to get onto other platforms. We're pushing our LinkedIn a lot so we can show off our team, because that's important for us. And so, AlvarezConstruction.com, that's where you can find us, or Facebook. We're very active on Facebook. We're trying to throw a lot of video up nowadays to highlight all of our new communities, the 13 communities that are coming.
Absolutely. 13 in the works?
13 in the works. So Baton Rouge, Ascension Parish, Central, the North Shore, which encompasses Madisonville, Covington, that Goodby area. So, we got a lot of things going on.
I love it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. Well, we're going to link everything up in the show notes for those listening to the podcast. Awesome. And for those on Facebook, we're going to link everything up as well in all of the comments and everything of that nature. And those actually watching us on YouTube or whatever platform it may be, check the show description. They're going to have links to the website. We're going to have links to their social media pages.
Thank you.
And just click on them, go check them out. If you need a house built or you want to get in one of their communities, be sure and check them out as well. So, Sebastian, thank you so much.
Thank you for
coming
us.
on.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate your time.
I had a great time.
And coming out here. It was fun.
Awesome.
It wasn't. See, it was
relaxed. It might have been the beer that you offered me.
Well, there's the reason we do it at a bar.
Yeah, right.
Well, y'all that are listening or watching, thank y'all so very much. This has been season 3, episode 3 of the Patty G Show with Alvarez Construction. Thank y'all so very much, and good night.